There is obviously some sort of analogy between space and unconsciousness. Between stars, there is darkness.
In other words, I suddenly feel no longer a stranger in the world, but as if the external world were my own body. But a very overwhelming feeling that everything that happens, everything I have ever done, everything anybody else has ever done, was part of a harmonious design. That there is no error at all. When we look for it as something to be an escape from the way we actually feel or to compensate for the way we actually feel, it's a thing that comes out of the blue. And when it comes out of the blue, it's overwhelmingly convincing. That the meaning of being alive is just being alive. That is to say, and I understand that that is the point. That's what we're all here for. And yet here is everybody rushing around in a great panic, as if it were necessary for them to achieve something beyond all that. Nevertheless, in this intense struggle, we are unknowing poets. The greater the artistry, the greater the depth of the illusion which is created. For you see, all art is in a way illusion. And to persuade you just for a moment that you are actually involved in reality, the more they have succeeded as artists.
There's a Zen poem which says, "The morning glory which blooms for an hour differs not at heart from a giant pine that lives for 1,000 years." In other words, an hour is a long life to a morning glory. 1,000 years is a long life to a pine. So we're really all in the same place. And we all have above us things much higher than ourselves. And we all have below us things that we feel are much lower than ourselves, just as there are things out there on the left and things out there on the right, and things in front and things behind. Because you're the middle. You're the middle everywhere, always. You find you're wrestling with something you can't control. You've got to control it, but you absolutely can't control it, like all the problems of the world at the present time. The whole scene is completely out of hand. And we feel we're going to our doom, because we're going once again towards the birth of a star, which is the most creative thing there is. The whole point of life, I mean, this tender biological substance with all its tubes and filaments and nerves, which is so very sensitive. If all this is to end up in fire, into an absolute blaze of light, don't we say, oh, what a shame? You don't, is that the way it ends? But so many people say that they want to see the light. They want to be enlightened. They want to dissolve into the light of God. And then when they've done that, all over again, the process goes on and blows out those mud balls. And here are planets. And here once again, you're a baby, you're a child. The flowers are brilliantly colored. The stars are gorgeous. The smell of the earth, the sound of the rain, everything is marvelous once again. And once again you see the man, the woman that you love. As if it had never happened before. It all starts over again. Existence, the feeling of being, is a sort of spectrum. Just as light is at one end red and at the other end violet. And you have to have these extremes in order to have color at all, in order to know light.
If you work with LSD, this comes very clear. You get a vision sometimes of the world which is positively pointillist. Somehow it seems as if your nerve ends had been activated individually, and you become aware of a grainy quality in everything. This could be dismissed as a pure hallucination, but all hallucinations have some basis in our neural structure. They may not be experiences that are of what we call the objective world, but in any experiment that turns your consciousness on your consciousness, your senses on your senses, you will get curious things happening. Being able to perceive without conceptualizing what you're looking at. And that's the interior silence, without which, well, there is really nothing to think about or talk about.